Who's your Valentine? Well, it doesn't matter, I'll tell you. Today's your lucky day because whether you're single or not, you're going to forget about that special someone in your life or lack thereof once I tell you about the original Valentine. The man, the myth, the matchmaker, Valentinus, the patron saint of love. And other things, but for this video, mainly love. Finding love in 3rd century Rome became quite a dangerous affair. Unlike your run-of-the-mill Hallmark movie, much pain and sacrifice were required to marry the one meant for you. According to his hagiography, or saintly biography, Saint Valentine, born in the 220s, rose to stardom in the 260s, when the Roman Emperor Claudius II outlawed soldiers to marry. What? No engagements? No marriages? What was a man to do? Well, the priest Valentine went against these orders, married couples anyway, and, well, lost his head for it. So, for those experiencing disappointment this season, just know that there have certainly been worse Valentine's Days. Before we get to the ancient Roman life or death commitment issues, let's address the historicity of Valentine himself. Now, this man and his story that we're about to unravel have quite the shaky foundation. Our earliest reference of Valentine comes from a 6th century martyr list, the Martyrologium Hieronymianum, basically 300 years after the attested date of his ministry. And it's really not that descriptive. Similarly, fast forwarding all the way to the 14th century, Geoffrey Chaucer, in his own saucy poetry, mentions lovers observing the day of St. Valentine, February 14th, as a day of affection. Throughout time, the saint's life becomes embellished with the romanticism and chivalry of courtly life in the Middle Ages. Shakespeare in the 1590s popularized the holiday's romantic context in his Midsummer Night's Dream. By the 1700s, people were sending cards to loved ones on this day, and up to the present, it has turned into a commercial hellscape. But getting back to the authenticity, even the Vatican in 1969 removed Valentine's Day as a saint's day from the Roman calendar because, there's just not enough material on the actual guy. Oh yes, I forgot. To add more fuel to this dumpster fire of historical investigation, there are actually multiple St. Valentines, one of whom is buried in Dublin, and another whose head is in Rome. Apparently, some people were catfishing as the matchmaking saint. Well, also, Valentine was a common name. For simplicity's sake in this video, I will present two of the more famous accounts. So, I know you're asking right now, why am I watching this, number one? And number two, how did this St. Valentine guy, who we barely know anything about, become so popular? To the first point, well, morbid curiosity. To the second, because, sometimes people like a sappy love story, whether it's real or not. So in 269 AD, amidst the crisis of the 3rd century, a turbulent time to say the least, if that notion wasn't clear from the title, don't at me, historians, a Roman priest who possibly became the Bishop of Terni, a town in Italy, named Valentine, made it his mission to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ no matter the cost. The emperor of that time was Claudius II, called Gothicus, not because he liked Goths, rather because he killed them, a lot of them. And apparently, outside of any historical record except hagiographies of Valentine, he hated Christians too, vehemently. Valentine was arrested for his evangelism and acts of piety, even trying to convert the emperor himself. In prison, he healed the daughter of his jailer from blindness, with the father, the daughter, and their entire household embracing the Christian teaching thereafter. As Valentine was being hauled off to the chopping block, he wrote a final letter to the daughter of the jailer he had befriended and signed it, "Your Valentine." He was martyred February 14th, 269. Another famous story recounts the cleric Valentine playing the role of a defiant officiant. According to this telling, Claudius II had issued an edict restricting men from marriage, since he needed more soldiers for his armies. Since wedded men could avoid the draft or were just too preoccupied with family life, the emperor put a hold on marriages. Valentine secretly married Christian couples anyway, even giving this persecuted minority hearts of parchment to remind them of their godly vows. So when someone asks you, why are marriage rates declining in Western countries, you can confidently respond that the West has had a history of marital dips. Just look at how we got Valentine's Day. St. Valentine saw the marriage stats and didn't like it, and so decided to bring back good old traditionalism. Now, again, no other historical source substantiates these narratives. Claudius Gothicus spent much of his rather short reign on the frontiers, killing Goths, not adjudicating or persecuting Christians in Rome. These stories come from later medieval embellishments such as the Nuremberg Chronicle, the Legenda Aurea, and more famously, the Parliament of Fowls by Chaucer, which heavily emphasized the romantic aspect of the Saint's Day. And there's also the ancient Roman precursor to Valentine's Day, Lupercalia. The root lupus, Latin for wolf, harkens back to the foundation of Rome, when Romulus and Remus were suckled by a she-wolf. Roman historians like Horace and Plutarch tell us that this pagan holiday was a fertility ritual celebrated on February 15th, where male dogs and goats were sacrificed, these animals symbolizing virility, and which saw young men running through the streets of Rome naked, whipping women who would voluntarily line the streets, causing them to become more fertile, or, if they're pregnant, a healthy delivery. Sticks and stones might break Roman bones, but chains and whips sure do excite them. And there it is, the origin of Valentine's Day. Maybe not as romantic as you expected, but hey, there are kernels of wholesomeness sprinkled in these accounts. So whether you celebrate it as a modernized romantic holiday, a Saint's Day, a Galentine's Day, or Singles Awareness Day, we can all appreciate how the story of a selfless healer / marriage officiant resonated in the hearts of many throughout history. And next time you indulge in some chocolate assortments, you can reminisce over how the torture and death of an 1800-year-old saint paved the way for some of those scrumptious Lindors. Now, if you're craving more love stories, check out this video to see how the fiery relationship between these two English monarchs almost burned down their entire kingdom. Also, there is an upcoming video on a particular someone who came to power the year following Valentine's death. Coincidence? Unlikely. Stay tuned for more. Like, share, comment, subscribe. See you next time.